Hense, Pepesusqueo, Nitsigussin, Wabisko, Chinia. Hello, my name is Kayla Bellerose is my English name, and Baby Woman is my Cree name. I'm originally from Slave Lake, and my family comes from Big Stone Cree Nation and Saw Ridge Cree Nation, and I'm also mixed ancestry. My dad is Muniao, he's English, and yeah, I'm from Treaty 8 territory, so that's a little bit about me. So I got into mural work through, I think, just following my path and my passion. I really found that there was a lot of opportunities in mural art, and it was something that always spoke to me because public art is accessible. Public art is a way to, communicate a message and bring healing to all types of people. Doesn't matter if you're, living on the streets or if you are living, it doesn't matter, right? It's accessible for everyone, and that's what really appeals to me about street art. And also making murals, you meet so many people in the process. So I don't really know how I got into it exactly. It just kind of fell into my path. I didn't imagine it for myself when I was younger or really developing as an artist. It's just something that spoke to me, and then I just wanted to do it too. And there's not a lot of Indigenous women, queer, two-spirit femme people who are in the mural art scene. And so for me, it's also about taking space and also sharing space and reclaiming space, especially in cities where a lot of our, Indigenous kin relatives have not felt safe or maybe not felt welcomed throughout, generationally. And so it's really about recognizing that this is all Indigenous land, even in the city. So yeah, that's what public art means to me and why it's important to me. So I got connected to this project through Marshallville, and they reached out to me this last winter. They saw my project that I did with the Beltline Urban Murals project last year. I did a memorial piece for Amy Willier, who's an incredible woman who passed away in 2021. And so I wanted to honor her legacy by doing a mural with Kamamak Mackenzie Brown. It was a collaboration. And so Marshall saw that mural and then got in touch with me later on about 50 Shades of Brown, and really, honoring two-spirit relatives here in Mohkinstsis in Calgary, Treaty 7 territory. So I was really honored and humbled that Marshall asked me. And yeah, I was super intimidated at first because 12 portraits is a lot, but it's been a lot of learning, and I'm really grateful to, get to paint these really beautiful people. So yeah, the process of this work was really shaped by the context of where I'm painting. So being in Container Park and in this space where you're painting on a sea can, this was my first time painting on a sea can. So I wanted to keep my design a little more simple, where each portrait has their own space, so that it's not all I could have done it where they were layered on top of each other, but I really wanted everyone to have their own space. And within that process, kind of my signature as an artist, as Bibi Usqueo, Baby Woman, is I use a lot of florals in my work, and that comes from my Chapan's beadwork, my great grandmother's beadwork. And yeah, so that these flower designs are actually from my family's beadwork, and I use it in a lot of my work as my signature, so people can recognize, oh, that's Bibi Usqueo, there's her flower design, which is really what, comes from my matriarchal roots. And so I wanted to have the portraits wrapped in these flowers for that I guess that caring, nurturing, energy that you get from your grandmother, or things that even plant relatives teach us. When I think of flowers, I think of roses and lilies, and I don't know why I connect that with grandmothers. And so I wanted that presence to be in the process. And I think even in the inspiration of creating, painting these portraits alongside plant relatives was being inspired by Joshua Whitehead's work, who's a local Indigiqueer two-spirit writer, originally from Manitoba, but has a new book coming out called Making Love to the Land. And to me, like, queer identity, indigiqueer, two-spirit is really about going back to the land. And, when you look at when you look at the identity of it's so diverse, right? And it diverse as the lands that we come from. Indigenous identities are, yeah, as diverse as the lands we come from. And so, again, it's just like going back to the land. So that's like a big part of my process as an artist. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of challenges, but that's the reality of creating street art, because you're not always going to work with a perfect canvas. That's the beauty of it, is you just have to go with what you have, and you just work with the architecture of the building, like the ridges of the sea can. This sea can probably has like 7 layers of paint, because there's like how many murals have been on it. So yeah, you just work with what you have, and it adds to the texture, it adds to, I guess the ruggedness of public art, which I really enjoy. But yeah. I have some of these portraits printed. So this is what I reference. Like, I have them all here. These beautiful people, which was, all these photographs were actually shot by my adopted sister, Alana Bluebird, Alana One Spot, who's from Sutina. There's Crystal. So I was given all these portraits by Marshall, and that were done through the project last year with 50 Shades of Brown. And so I was visualizing how they can work together. And so in my sketchbook, I started drawing out the shape of the sea can and started sketching out each portrait and the flowers. And then from there, I brought it to digitally, like on my iPad, to create the full concept. And then from that concept, I got to share it with Marshall and actually everyone who I'm painting. We sat on Zoom and I got to show them the concept, explain it. And it was really awesome, because they even added some ideas too. So what's going to be added to this as well is some stars, because there is a story behind how two-spirit people are connected to the star beings and the stars. And so I was inspired by that story, and maybe that person will tell their story when they're interviewed too, or I don't know. But yeah, that's kind of been my process. And then I got a few friends to help me in the evening here, and we actually were able to project the outlinings of each portrait. It was a lot easier for me to do that, because I did a sloppy grid, but to paint and sketch out all the proportions of each person, I wanted to really honor them and do a good job. So with the timeline I had, a projection was the best way. And yeah, now it's just layers and layers of paint, because portraits are complex, just like us. Yes, I know quite a few of the people that I'm painting in this mural. So I know Marshall's the one who reached out about the mural to paint it on behalf of the Center of Sexuality and this project 50 Shades of Brown. And then I actually know Crystal right behind me here, Crystal One Spot. I actually lived with Crystal for a period of time through the quarantine. So yeah, she's my adopted sister from Sutina. And who else do I know on here? I know of people like in passing, like Irene, and I also know Alicia Two Bears. I've actually taken her photos before. I've done some photography for some friends. So yeah, I know some people from the community here in Mohkinstsis. And I think that's all of them right now that I can think of off the top of my head. I think for me, this mural and painting it is really to bring awareness, to bring presence to, the city here in Calgary, Mohkinstsis. I think there's a lot of misunderstanding when it comes to queer identity, but through an Indigenous lens. And so this is really about honoring that two-spirit presence that has been here since, time immemorial, but it's just, been suppressed for so long. And I think this mural is really important because it brings up conversation. People have been coming up to me while I'm painting asking, like, who are these people? Are they famous? What do they do? And so explaining it to people, you kind of get that like little like, well, what is Two-Spirit? And so I think it's a good conversation starter, for people to have better understandings, to be more inclusive, more accepting, to be more loving, more kind, because I think queerness and these, I guess, gender constructs are, really like forced upon a lot of people in this society, but really, or gender constructs are, but queerness is like original ways, people, Two-Spirit people have always been accepted in our communities forever, and actually we're seen as really gifted people who could understand like the feminine perspective and the masculine perspective, and sometimes could be like the balance in the middle to help with, if there was conflicts going on within our community, they could be that mediator, because they could understand both perspectives, because they carry that energy within them, right, of masculine and feminine energy. And so it's really cool to I guess enlighten people through art and remind them of that presence that's been here forever, and going back to our original identities, original ways, and showing society that they need to accept that. Yeah. So Two-Spirit is actually a contemporary term. It was created in, I believe, don't quote me exactly on this, do your research, but I believe it was quoted in the 1980s at a conference in Manitoba. And so a lot of Indigenous queer people gathered together, and they made this term because they needed to come together in a way and identify themselves in a way that would, create that unity, inclusion, and support for, non-binary people, trans people, LGBTQ plus that are Indigenous and don't always fit in with the, non-Indigenous queer identities, but going back to the original ways. And so Two-Spirit was a term created within community by queer people that are Indigenous, and it's really about, reclaiming that space, going back to our original identities. And a lot of, First Nations across Canada, which is so diverse, right? We have like hundreds of nations across this country, and all with diverse languages, diverse backgrounds, diverse connections to the land, also have super diverse identities. So Two-Spirit isn't just one thing, it's a whole community, and everyone has like a different perspective and experience and identity amongst this community. And so I don't know if I could have one clear definition, but I would just say keep growing, keep learning, keep talking to people. And I'm excited to actually paint some of the quotes that were given by the people on this mural who stated, Two-Spirit to me means becoming, And so there's different quotes from each person, and they're really beautiful. Some are poems, and so I'm going to incorporate that into the work so that when people come and see these folks, they will be able to see what Two-Spirit means to them, and so it'll be more engaging in that way too. So I have been painting this mural for about 2.5 weeks now, and so I'm hoping at the 3-week point I'll be done, so maybe on Saturday, Sunday, hopefully Sunday. And it's just taking some time because, again, when you're trying to do proportions, making sure people's eyes look right, their nose, their mouth, that takes a lot of time. And so I want to make sure that, each and every individual person on this mural, I give my time and energy to, so that, they're happy with it, I'm happy with it. And I just want to really highlight their beauty, their natural beauty. And also, they all got like their makeup done too by Crystal, who's behind me, and she's an Indigenous like makeup artist. And so making sure I paint in those really wicked lashes that everyone has, like I just want to, it takes time. So We'll see. We'll see if 3 weeks is how long it takes. But yeah, I started July 25th, I want to say, and I did have delays where I was supposed to start earlier, but scheduling, and then also I had some technical difficulties with the sprayer. So yeah, that's just being a muralist. You gotta like go with the punches and like just keep making art and hope for the best. And I pray a lot, and that's how I get through it. Call my ancestors in to paint through me, especially on those days where I feel like I'm tired and I can't do it. So, for those of you watching this, I really say, call your ancestors in on those hard days because it really helps. I think for me, I wanted to do this project to, honor my cousins, my relatives who are Two Spirit, who are queer, who haven't always been accepted and loved and nurtured in the ways that they should be. I wanted to do it for them. And, for anyone who's struggling with their identity or, struggling with, feeling a sense of belonging, my hope that this piece does is like just bring some love into these people's lives. And I think even for myself, like I'm queer, and just finding a way to express that and feel comfortable in that is, always been a challenge for me. But I think doing a work like this has been really healing even for myself. And so I wanted to do this to bring healing to the community and just to spread that love and and just to be kind to each other as humans. Like, we're all human beings here, and we all express ourselves in different ways, but at the end of the day we're still human. And just to care for each other, help each other, like this is what's gonna help all of us amongst humanity get through all the stuff that we go through each day. So yeah, just to have that compassion. So that's why I want to do this mural. There's so much to it. With this project being called 50 Shades of Brown, which I love the name, I ended up buying a lot of brown paint and spray paint, but also in latex exterior house paint. So I use that to blend. And within that, oh man, I would say there's probably like 10 different shades of brown in the latex paint, and probably like 15 different shades in the spray. And then when you blend those, you get like 100 shades brown. So I'm like, if you're gonna commission me for a project called this, I will have a lot of browns. Which is awesome, because we do come in even more than 50 shades, which is awesome. This project is important because it is creating space for a community, and for a community that hasn't always been welcomed within the urban environment. And so this is a reclamation of space, and it is a welcoming to people to learn more. And it's also a safe space for Indigenous kin, Two-Spirit people, Queer people to gather, to feel seen, to feel loved, and that's what it's all about. And I just want to say thank you to Marshall, who asked me to paint 50 Shades of Brown. I really am grateful for the opportunity and the trust in this project, and then also to the Center of Sexuality for funding this project. As an artist, it's really awesome when you get these kinds of opportunities, especially because they speak so much to your work and sharing your passion, and you really put a lot of spirit and heart into works like this. So when you get funded and paid to do it, it makes it really awesome. So hi Nanaska Moten. I'm grateful for all of you. I'm grateful to be here in Treaty 7 lands, traditional Blackfoot territory. I'm Bush Cree from up north, so I'm always grateful to be a visitor here. And hi, thank you. Have a good day.